Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Tariq Ahmed, and on behalf of the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program organizing committee, it is my honor to welcome you all to this very important session, which is on the expert tips for crafting a winning PTDF scholarship application. As always, we have quite a lot of you who have been following up with our programs, and very often we get people who's just for the first time. And usually what we do is we try to let people know of how they can get involved with the Arewa Youth Mentorship programs and also review all these programs that we've done in the past. So today I have Dr. Fauzia with me, who's also part of the organizing committee, and Dr. Fauzia is also a PTDF scholar. And she will talk us through how we can get involved. Dr. Fauzia, over to you, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and you are welcome to our final session before Ramadan. This May will mark the third anniversary of the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program. We are pleased to inform you that we will be bringing you a exciting and beneficial program following the Ramadan break. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank the program founders, officials, and mentors. May Allah reward you for your extraordinary efforts. To the mentees, Telegram page will be open during the break so that you can offer suggestions and areas you believe you can improve. Remember, you can always follow us on our social media handle. If you think you have contribution to be as a mentor, you can either contact me or Dr. Tariq or Yaqub through the Telegram pages. And we are going to also meet with the mentors to see how we can bring more beneficial session. Please make sure you follow us to our social media handles, which will be posted in the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fauzia. Yes, as Dr. Fauzia mentioned, I think all the links that you need will be posted on the charts. So do please follow in order to make sure that you keep abreast of what's been happening with the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program. Right. So I believe almost every one of you now knows that the PTDF scholarship call is already open. And as you've seen on the advertorials, today we've invited 4 PTDF scholars. I've mentioned that Dr. Fauzia is also a PTDF scholar. I myself am opportunity to be one. So the aim really for today's talk is for our scholars to provide us with valuable insights, with practical tips, with actionable strategies really that we can use in order to craft a winning scholarship application. And as always, we also plan to take some questions from you. We know that you have quite a number of questions. So you can either put those in the chat box, either myself, Dr. Fauzia, or other members of the organizing committee would have those picked up and get them addressed, or you could also use the raise hand option towards the end of the session, and I will give you the opportunity to ask your questions. We have 4, as I've mentioned, 4 speakers. We've got Malam Mustapha, we've got UmmuSalma, Engineer Salim, as well as Dr. Habeeba. So I think we'll start with Malam Mustapha. And Malam Mustapha will give us a general kind of overview with regards to the application method. Malam Mustapha, I think, is here. I'm not sure. I don't know whether you have any presentation to share or you just want to talk us through that. But I think I'll give the floor to you now, Malam Mustapha. So probably what I need to do really is to introduce Malam Mustapha Yarima Musa. He's a prospective PhD student with interest in threat intelligence. He obtained a master's degree from Huddersfield on cybersecurity and digital forensics, and also a bachelor's degree in computing from Bayern University, Kano. He's got over 5 years of experience as a network engineer working within both the public as well as the private sectors. Malam Mustapha, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself and give you a talk? I'll give you about 15 to 20 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, Dr. Tariq, thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So before I start, let me quickly share my screen. I have a presentation to make.
Okay.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is now.
It's visible, right?
Yes, it's visible. We can see the slide the presentation with the little note side. So yes, we can see that.
All right, yeah.
Yes,
I think it's better this way. So thank you, Dr. Tariq, for the introduction. Before I commence, I would like to still appreciate and commend the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program for their continuous efforts in trying to bring to spotlight every opportunity they find that will be beneficial to the Arewa youth and beyond. So the Arewa Youth Mentorship, I happen to be a member who was introduced by, let me also commend Dr. Fauzia for the opportunity to bring me into this program. And today I will be talking regarding the expert tips for crafting a winning PTDF scholarship application. And I will give a general overview of the scholarship application for the 2023-2024 application process. So I don't need, I think, to make any further introduction. Dr. Tariq has already introduced me. So let me hit directly and let's dive in. So for the presentation, we'd like to cover these areas. We'll have a brief introduction, like to know about PTDF, the application process, the interview, and keynotes, and we'll wrap up with that. So I think for participants here within the midst could be freshers, and there could be also people who are going for the second or third trial. Before I go fully, let me give a little history about myself personally before I gain the PTDF Master's Scholarship. Actually, I've applied for the scholarship like consecutively for 4 years to say, and in the fourth year, I was chosen as one of the successful candidates. So why am I giving in this story is because I want each and every participant here, if you're a fresher, this is your first time. And if otherwise, you shouldn't relent. You can make it. You should keep striving till you make it. That's what I want to say here. So keep trying, but each and every time, if you try for the first time, you don't succeed, you need to go back to your drawing board, look at it carefully. Where is the mistake? Where have I maybe asked successful candidates, talk to them. Or maybe if you have a mentor who has succeeded in this scholarship, talk to him. How can he help you? Or let him review your works and see where are the lapses, where are the loopholes, so you can streamline your application properly and you wait for the next application opening. As for the PTDF scholarship, it is open annually every year, and this scholarship has two categories, which is the local scholarship, and we have also the overseas scholarship. So this scholarship covers master's and PhD on both categories. And for the local scholarship, which is the LSS, covers within strategic universities that have like an understanding with PTDF. For the local, we have 44 universities, which are all federal universities. And for the overseas scholarship scheme, there are 5 countries currently to say, which is UK, France, Germany, Brazil, and Malaysia. But these countries usually change depending on how PTDF is able to have a partnership with other countries. Like I can recall the last application I did, during our time, we had UK, France, Germany, and China. But this time around, I can't find China on the list. So this it changes based on the partnership they have with these countries. So for this master's and PhD, you could apply across all these 5 countries. With UK in specific, if you're applying for UK, you only apply to UK universities only. While if you're applying outside the UK, you have the option to go around different countries, which is you can choose either France, Germany, or Brazil, or whatever, how you want the combination of 3 countries, sorry, for your application over the overseas scholarship. So here we have the application process, the start. So in the start, the PTDF has tried to streamline the application process to make it quite seamless for each and every applicant, whereby it has provided some guidelines where you can, there are the links here which I've made available, and I believe after the video, Mukhtar will be able to put them at the description below for you to be able to access them, or you can easily go to the PTDF website to find these links. But for easy reference, you have them here with us. So the guidelines cover what is required of you as either a master's or a PhD student. They almost share same requirements, only that in the master's, you have a statement of purpose, while in the PhD, you have a research proposal. And this statement of purpose, let's look at the master's. It's usually a 1-page document, which has to comprise of why you want to study, how is your study impact, how will your study impact PTDF, and how will it impact Nigeria at large. So also in your research proposal for the PhD, they've streamlined also a maximum of a 5-page document that you can put in your proposal in the format they outlined under the guideline link. So also, if you look into the account, you can easily create an account by following this link. So they've now introduced a collaboration to say with Nigerian Information Management Commission, whereby they want to tie each applicant to his national identity number. So you need to have a national identity number before you can apply for this year PTDF scholarship scheme. So if you don't have one, you need to start to see how you can get one in order for you to apply. Because if you don't have, it's now a mandatory requirement. So once you come to the creation link, if you click, you need to put in your NIN number and make a verification. This verification has a cost of 500 Naira for now, and you will key in your details, which will have to correspond with the details in NIMC database. So after that, you also have a 10-step illustrative guidelines that will show you a step-by-step process from after the creation of the account into your login portal, and the 3 categories of documents, categories of stages you need to fill. That is your academic information, followed by your course of study, and finally, other related documents that will be uploaded. So for the universities, For the universities, we have under the UK, the overseas scholarship scheme, we have currently a list of 71 universities across these 5 countries that you can apply to. UK is having 18 universities, while Malaysia is having 3, Germany is having 23, and France is having 26, and Brazil is having only 1. So this will be available to you after you've created an account. So you have the privilege to select only 3 universities and 3 course of studies. So as I said earlier, if you are going for the UK, you have to only choose UK all through. While if you are going for non-UK universities, you can switch in between these other 4 countries. So in doing so, I will urge applicants not to just limit yourself if you are going for the overseas to only 3 applications or only 3 universities. You should check onto the link which has provided 71 universities and try to apply to, if possible, 18 if you are going for the UK, because the higher your application, the higher chances of you to have an admission before time. So once, hopefully, you are successful, you don't need to be having any doubt, and you have a choice of pool to select from. So that's about the universities and your courses of study. So now, still under the application process, your course of study must be streamlined into this area of research, which is as listed, you can see on the slide, because PTDF wants to have a return on investment, because to be honest, PTDF scholarship is one of the best scholarship you could have to say in the world, because in terms of its ranking and in terms of its stipend it gives to its scholars, it's really, really good. So therefore, PTDF wants to also get a return on investment. That's why it's trying to streamline the area of research into what can be beneficial to the fund and to the nation at large. So keeping in mind, your application or your course of study should cover these areas, or be it directly or indirectly, you should try to find a relation to how you can tie your application to suit in one of these research areas. So after you've finished your application, so the next thing you will wait for is a call for interview. Hopefully, I believe participants here will all be called for the interview. So also during the application process, you will be given the chance to select which area you want to be interviewed if you happen to be called, which I hope everyone here will be called onto. And you have 6 locations and to choose which is much closer to you. So you can choose from the list you have available. So keynotes, this is the final keynote to make here. Just a recap to summarize everything. The scholarship, number 1, the scholarship should be relevant to the oil and gas sector. It's very, very important. You can't get any scholarship from PTDF if it doesn't fit or suit or contribute to the oil and gas sector. Second thing is your universities or institutions you need to apply for must be what universities accredited or that have strategic partnership with PTDF. Anything outside that scope will not be considered from PTDF. And next thing is what you are choosing you should have a background of study, meaning you cannot study, let's say, computer engineering, and the next thing you want to dive into, let's say, power economics or something related, which there is no alignment between your previous study and your career you want to pursue in the future. So you should try to find a relevant area where you have enough background to tie or to help you easily fit in. The next thing is email. We should be very mindful because the only link or the only channel of correspondence between you and PTDF is your email. So therefore, please, all applicants should be mindful. During the application process, they should ensure they give a reliable email, which they will have continuous access to, because once they are selected, they will be sent for an interview via their email. So if you have a problem with your email, this can lead to you losing the opportunity, even if you have been called. So please try to create or use a reliable email at your disposal of that. And finally, the final call is the application is always open for 6 weeks. And it's going to be closing for this year by 24th of March. So the time is still ticking. So dear prospective applicants, you should try to maximize this period to see you've been able to cover successfully your SOP for the master's students or the research proposal for the PhD student, for you to be able to submit your application within the deadline. So on this, I have come to the conclusion of the application process for the PTDF 2023-2024 application process. Thank you very much. And if there is any question, I think at the end, we will look into that. Thank you. So Dr. Tariq, yes. I will give the
thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Mustapha. We really appreciate it. I think that keynote slide did my last job, which is more or less summarizing what you've already covered.
Yeah.
But you did, I think one very important issue that you've mentioned is not to give up. A lot of these scholarships, it's not something that you just apply once and you get it once.
Yes, really.
Yes. So I think it's very important, and not just to keep applying, but rather to always improve your application, identify, what are your lapses, even if there aren't much lapses, but then how can you improve? Because there's always room for improvement. I think that's a very, very important point that applicants need to remember. You also mentioned something, even though it was very brief, regarding the name verification, which you said it cost 500. I think I remember I had a story, someone within someone was just saying that, an applicant contacted him and he wants to apply for the scholarship, but he feels like, spending that 500 when his chances are very slim, he's not sure whether he should go ahead and do that. I think that's, I don't know, I don't want to call that stupidity, but really it's something that you really, the kind of, funding that you get in terms of, whether it's the fees, the university fees, the upkeep that you get, it's quite a lot of money. So I think just paying 500 is nothing really. So do endeavor to do that, please. You did mention, provide a list of universities, the different areas of research, and also the need to make sure that whatever research that you're interested in a way has a bit of alignment with your previous expertise or qualifications, because as you mentioned, if it's something which is totally different, then it becomes very, very difficult to get the funding.
Exactly.
You've already provided us the list of research areas, which I think applicants can go over the website to have a look at those, and also the different interview locations, as well as the email, the importance of the email. A lot of us, sometimes we have the email, but we don't really bother to be checking the email, or we have 3 or 4 different emails, and you might even forget which one you used. I think this is very important for applicants to remember. So thank you very much, really. We appreciate it. Hopefully, you would stay until the end. I'm sure I can see already people are raising their hand, they want to ask questions, but that would be towards the end of the program. So please, if you could hang on, and I'm sure you're going to get a few questions, hopefully, that you could address. So next, I think we'll move on to Dr. UmmuSalma. I think Dr. UmmuSalma she's almost finishing her PhD. She's currently a PhD student at Institute of Infection, Veterinary and Ecological Sciences at the University of Liverpool. And she'll talk us through really the research proposal. What really do we have to think about, or do you need to put into the application? UmmuSalma, are you here with us?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam. So I think I'll give you about 15 to 20 minutes as well, please.
Okay, I'm trying to share my screen.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can hear from so that we don't waste time. I'll try and clarify it.
Okay, no problem then. Okay. So Engineer Salim, are you here with us? Let's have a...
Yes.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
thank you. So yes, Engineer Salim is also currently doing his PhD at the Institute of Sustainable Built Engineering at Hewlett University. Thank you, Engineer Salim. I believe you might have some slides to share as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sadiq, for allowing me into this program. So what I want to talk about is the state of interview. As we know, this scholarship or application for PTDF has main two stages. The first one is application stage, and the second is interview stage. So I want to talk something about the first stage, that the application stage. During the application stage, all the applicants should try to upload or to fill all what he has been asked in the application, because there are many applicants, or to say thousands of applicants. So, and I think it is automated. So it is maybe computer that will select the appropriate candidate for the interview, because as I said, there are thousands, more than 20,000, 30,000 applicants. So try in the application to fill all what you have been asked in the application. Try to fill the minimum requirements, like in mathematics and English in your in the application. So all the minimum requirements, try to fill it so that you will be selected for the interview. As I said, it's just like an automated. So then the second stage is the interview stage. So the interview stage is the main stage for this scholarship. So there are some criteria, or there is template that these interviewers or panelists considers during the interview, selection interview. Maybe I can share my screen to show this template. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's gone. Okay, yes, you can see it now.
So this is the selection interview template for PTDF. This is for PhD. These are the marks. The first, they will consider your proposal. That the proposal, there is introduction, there are some marks that is carrying the appropriateness of the proposal. That is the title of the proposal. This session, I think Dr. Habeeba will give brief or more detail about this session. So at the interview, the first thing in the interview, you have to prepare for the interview. The first thing that you have to do for the interview, try to prepare all your certificates. Try all your certificate, the original certificate, that is educational certificate. Then prepare your publications, all awards that you have. This is the first stage that you have to take. Then you have to dress well. That is, to dress has to be corporate, you are dressing. Then try to read your proposal to know the subject matter. That is your proposal. Try to practice it well. Maybe you can sit with your friend, try to present this, or to know how to introduce yourself in some few seconds or few minutes, like sorry. Try to be composed during the interview session. Sorry. Oh my God.
Right. Engineer, are you with us, Engineer Salim?
I think we lost him.
Have you lost him?
Maybe so. Dr. Yakub, can you call him? Maybe I think he wasn't looking okay.
Right. Probably we've lost him. Okay. I think maybe we might go back to UmmuSalma. Do you have UmmuSalma? Are you here? Is your slides ready now?
Yeah, my slides are ready.
Okay, thank you. If you can share, then please. Right, thank you. Great, so as I've mentioned earlier, I think about 15 to 20 minutes. You can start now, please. Thank you.
So, assalamu alaikum. My name is UmmuSalma. I'm here to chip in how to write a research proposal, which is one of the prerequisites for a PhD PTDF scholarship.
UmmuSalma ba ma ganin ki.
Oh, to, Doctor, to, baringa. Hasn't like my so.
All right, just go ahead. Go ahead.
Nadisa, come on.
I think it's fine. I think you can go ahead. Thank you.
So there are certain things to look at when writing a research proposal, which include why your research is important, how long the research proposal should take, and what should be included when writing your research proposal. So we are going to first look at what a research proposal is. So a research proposal contains what your topic or question you want to address, as well as the intended outcome and a clear definition of what your research is all about. Also contain explaining questions that are important and valuable and how valuable they are to your field of study. It also provides an answer to the research question and why the research is going to be accomplished. Why is research proposal important? Research proposals are important since they formally explain your desired research. This means that you must include information such as methodology, that is the method you want to use in carrying out the research, the approach, which means are you going to use database collection towards achieving your research aim, or are you going to work in the lab or in the field? Timetable. Timetable means the timeline for each step or for each aim to be accomplished during the research, and the feasibility. Can the research be accomplished, or it's just on paper? Can you achieve the aims that you've listed, or they are unachievable? So all this must be included in writing a research proposal. You also need to clarify your idea to making the research more more efficient. How long should it be? This entails the word count. Generally, research proposals are mandated, or for a researcher, it is mandated for him to write a research proposal that contain no more than 2,000 word count. And I think for the PTDF scholarship, that criteria still applies. Having a word count indicates your ability to write effectively, which is a skill that assessors also look at for future research candidates. What should a research proposal contain? First of all, the project title. Your title should clearly indicate what your proposed research is all about. Sometimes you need to collaborate with your supervisor before coming up with a research proposal, with a research title that is appropriate. And for PTDF scholarship, another vital point or criteria is getting a research supervisor. Mostly, even if you write a research proposal, you might end up not getting a supervisor that will work with you, because mostly in the UK here, research supervisors don't mostly go with your research titles. You will have a research a project ready, but when you approach a research supervisor, he will tell you that, no, I'm not interested in this, or this is not my field of study. But if you can bring something that will address this and this, then I might work with you. So getting a research supervisor is very important. You have to look for one. You have to look for, and sometimes when looking for a research supervisor, you have to look at their website. You have to know what they are working on. And if possible, if there is a research they are working on, you can try to build on such research. Another important thing to consider when writing a research proposal is the mode of research. Are you going to be on site, which is, are you going to be live in the university, or you are going to work from home, which is a sort of remote plus I can't remember the other one that they use here, but remote means you work from home, and then from time to time you go into the campus to work with your supervisor. So you have to identify that when writing your research proposal. You also have to identify whether you are going to collect data, that is data that has already been processed by other sector. For example, like working in the, if you want to build your research based on medical field, sometimes you go to clinics or hospitals and collect data from them, which you will use in building up your research. So you have to identify that. You also have to identify whether you're going to carry out a field research. Mostly this is being conducted by researchers such as in the engineers, those that work on oil field, geologists, geographers, and the rest. Another thing, however, all this will be best achieved if you have the guidance of your supervisor. That is why it is critical, and I repeat, it is very critical for a research student to get a supervisor before writing a research proposal. And also it is very important for a research student to get a supervisor before applying for a PTDF scholarship, because their guidance is really vital. So your research proposal should also contain aims and objectives. This include, how do you intend to accomplish your study? What are the points you want to bring out, and hopefully at the end of your research be able to address? Also, are you attempting to support or recruit anything in particular? Because there are certain research that have already been concluded. However, due to the modernization or the global modernization and global changes, it has been determined that those researches are no longer in use and can no longer solve the problems we're having or they repute certain findings that, for example, let's say before, research has it that northern part of Nigeria cannot produce oil. But now that has been refuted because we've seen oil being discovered. Some people are even saying that there is oil in my state, Katsina, which remains to be proven. So these are something that also a researcher should consider. You should also think about the possibility of your results, whether you are successful to assist towards improving your field of study. Your goals also should be split down into objectives, which are the action necessary to arrive at the desired result. These are the more or minor evidences that will support the goal of your investigation. You should also be, when writing the objectives, you should write them in sequential order. That is, objective 1 must be achieved before objective 2. Likewise, objective 2 must be achieved for you to carry on with objective 3. So now we go into the background of your research proposal. Your question has been clarified. So now you need to explain why. You need to demonstrate the understanding of the current research climate in the area of your interest. So this brings us to writing a literature review. Literature review contains what other researchers have already proven or are yet to proven. And this literature review will demonstrate to the examiner that you are aware of the current debate around your study and what has been so far published and what has not been achieved yet. So you have to show that you are knowledgeable with the major issues, important studies, and also the eminent experts in your field of study, as well as how they have shaped the contemporary environment. Expected research contribution. When writing your research proposal, you should also consider the following, which is the hypothesis. That is, let me think of a better example. It has been hypothesized that Katsina State cannot get crude oil. Is it a null hypothesis or not? Do you want to prove it, or you want to go against that hypothesis? So you have to build your research question on hypothesis. And also the current research, what is lacking in that field that you want to fill up, or you want to say, okay, it is lacking so and so, but if we build it on so and so, then we can make that field complete. This also covers the impact of your research on the discipline, that is on your field. Another thing to expect when writing your research proposal is that it is important to convince your audience that there is a gap in your research field and you want to fill that. What are the outcomes of your contribution? And you should also demonstrate current level of knowledge, which I've already said it in the previous slide. Then proposed methodology. It is good to provide a brief description of method and procedures you will employ to carry out your research study. How to come about this is, let me pinpoint on my research field. So what we normally do is we go on reviewing papers. You get certain methodologies, and sometimes you go directly using such methodologies in order to prove your point in your study. However, there are times that you need to augment those methodologies, that is, you need to add something to it to make it unique, or you need to remove something from it to make it easier to achieve. Methodology doesn't entail you writing something that is very hard. No, the aim is to achieve what you want to achieve and in the best way and get a best result. It's also, writing methodology also should indicate any potential restriction you foresee. That is the availability of the plan given and the available time and resources, and also ethical issues. For example, those working with human data, there are ethics guiding respects to privacy. That is the information that you can give on people and the information that you are being restricted to share. So work plan. The next thing you will consider is work plan. A work plan is an essential part of your research proposal, since it shows if it is possible to finish the research by the deadline or not, and also it helps you to achieve goals for earning your degree. Think about the benchmark you hope to reach at the end of your research. Normally, research takes 2 to 4 years. That's full-time study for a master's by research or for a doctorate research. It could also be beneficial to provide a year one detail. That is, you should provide, each year you should provide what you want to do, what you want to achieve before the next day. And you should try as much as possible, try something that is very feasible, something that you know really this is possible to achieve within this year. Don't try to write things that will make this to the examiner discredit your research, because there are certain researches that by mere looking at how the methodologies are, they cannot be achieved within the stipulated time. You should also try to point out the resources, what you want to use. That is the budget, expenses, field work, the travels. You should also point that out. And the last thing that you need for a research proposal is reference. Whatever literature you review, the methodologies you use, try and give credit to whom credit is due. List out the list of references that you've used when carrying out your literature review or when writing the methods that you think are best for your research. Also, avoid copy and paste. Try as much as possible to paraphrase your sentences when writing your research proposal, because this will also help you at the course of your study. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, UmmuSalma. I think you've covered everything really that needs to be covered in terms of research proposal. You started right from the kind of word limit, how many words that you need to write, and what it does really is it gives whoever is reading that proposal the kind of idea, information as to how effective you are, or how able you are to write very precisely, very concisely within a very wide, oftentimes subject area. You did mention the project title. This has to be something which is very clear, something which very clear and easy to understand, and that should also reflect the content of the work that you're proposing to carry out. You also mentioned the need to identify a research supervisor. You did mention sometimes you have your proposal, but then you're contacting the supervisors, and a lot of things could happen. I get quite a lot of emails from prospective students that they want me to supervise them, but then sometimes your workload is really full that you can't accept any students. Sometimes you go through the proposal and the content is not really something that you want to work with. So yes, of course, that support that you get from your supervisor helps because oftentimes the supervisor can put in some inputs into the research, and that would improve the quality of the proposal. And also the mode of research, whether this is going to be a lab-based research, is it going to be just a literature-based research? There are different types of research, so you need to identify exactly the type, or rather the mode for that particular research. You talked about the aim and objectives. Really, what you need is to have one aim and a list of objectives of how you are going to achieve those aims. And also, you did mention that it should be sequential, where you're able to finish this objective and then move on to the next objective. The background. So I guess this would be in terms of the literature review. As you've mentioned, this would, it's more or less the general knowledge with regards to that particular area. And that's why, in fact, what you do for the first year, especially in UK, I know that it's different in Saudi and in US and other countries where you have to do a number of coursework. But in the UK, all you do for that first year really is to work on that proposal that you've already used to secure your funding or to secure your admission, and improve it. Identify exactly where's the knowledge gap, what sort of contributions are you bringing into this particular area. So that literature part, I think, is very important, because once you start right from, before you get your funding or get your application, you build over time as you move on to your first year. You don't have to go back all the way and start from scratch. You already have some basic knowledge in that particular area. Expected research contribution. Yes, of course, definitely you would need to be able to provide contributions for your work in order to successfully, obtain, your degree, whether it's a master's or a PhD. Methodology. I think this is also very, very important, because a lot of time students get confused with regards to the methodology. I think for those that are working on, I think I shouldn't take too much time, but really the methodology, as you've mentioned, it's more or less identifying the exact methods that you need to use for your own particular project. A lot of time, those that are doing a literature-based study get a bit confused as to the methodology. For those that are working on the lab-based, exactly this is where I need to put in the, say, for example, the procedures, the equipment that I need to use, all that information. But if it's more or less a literature-based, then it gets a bit more confusing for students. So I think it's very important that you clearly specify, and this also goes to for funding as well, for not just PhD funding, but even if after your PhD you become a lecturer and you're really putting in applications for funding. I think this part is very important. So the earlier you perfect yourself in this skill of writing a very good, concise, precise, accurate, and interesting methodology, the better for you. You did talk about the work plan. I think a Gantt chart would really help to clearly specify all those different plan, what you intend to do, and as well as the time that you intend to spend in those different areas. Of course, the resources, the equipment that you need to use, field trips. I do know that PTDF used to sponsor for field trips and conferences. So these are things that you can anticipate and adding onto your proposal as well. And then, of course, your references, your bibliography, you did mention, you'd have to definitely acknowledge what has been done. Another very important point that you've raised toward the last part is the need to paraphrase, not just copy and paste, but rather paraphrase whatever it is that you've read, or whatever it is that you've read and you want to incorporate into your proposal. So thank you very much, really, we appreciate it. I know I've taken quite a lot of time. I'm trying to reiterate some of those points that you've already made. So we really appreciate it. I think we'll just move on straight to, I don't know if Engineer Salim is back. Engineer Salim Idris, are you back?
Yes, I am back. Sorry.
Okay, we lost you there. You were talking about the interview. I think probably you have a few more things you wanted to add, or were you done?
Yeah. So as I have started, I say there is 2 stages. We have to prepare before the interview date, and what you are going to do in the interview date. So before the interview, there is preparation. You have to produce all your certificates, original, that is educational certificate, all publications that you have published, your awards that you got, including all the local scholarship, like the one that you get from your state, that is your state scholarship board. You have to include it. Also, then read your proposal well. Try to know the subject matter. Read it well, practice well. Know how to explain your subject matter like in 3 to 4 minutes or 5 minutes, because you don't have much of time. So, and try to know how to explain your subject matter, that you try to go directly to the subject, so that because most of the panelists, they are not maybe expert on your subject area. So try to explain it directly, even if there's a layman will understand what you are saying, or will understand your subjects. Then in the interview day, try to dress well. Try to dress well, because then go directly. So when you start explanation, try to explain yourself like in 1 minute. They may ask you to introduce yourself. So try to introduce yourself like in 1 minute. Try to practice it. Go directly. Don't go start telling them some stories about yourself. Go directly to the educational background, what you have achieved in your educational background, like school that you attended, the scholarship or award that you have got. If you are registered with professional bodies, try to tell them that you have registered with professional bodies, you have published some journals or something similar to that. Then go aside, then show them that you need some sophisticated equipment or material to do your research. That is what I mean. Try to tell them that your scholarship, you want the scholarship. This means you need to go outside the country, because there are some, if your proposal or your subject matter or methodology is easy, so this means you need to go to any other country for the study. So try to show them that you need some sophisticated materials in your research. Then in the interview, they try to be composed, as I said. And before the interview, try to produce the proposal that will comply with the scoring criteria. As I said, there are some scoring criteria for the PTDF. I can share my screen for you to see the scoring criteria. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So these are the scoring criteria for PTDF. So for proposal, there is introduction. It takes 3 marks. For the title takes 3 marks. Then background of the studies, then statement of the problem, significance to the oil and gas. This has been already explained by Dr. Halima, I think. Then the literature review, it carries this mark for existence of the knowledge, use, and the currency, relevance of the literature to the research, acknowledgement of the sources. So these are the marks that is taken. For the experimental methodology, these are the marks. So these are the scoring criteria. Then the expected outcomes. So during the interview, what they consider is comportment. Then the application to the oil and gas. Try to show them directly, or to show them that your subject matter or your title is related to the oil and gas. Then knowledge of the subject matter. Try to show them that you know well about subject matter, about your topic. Try to explain everything to them in just a few words. So what I will advise you before going for the interview, try to make your proposal with these headings. I can give you some example of proposal, like this one. This is the sample of proposal for PTDF. Like the topic has to be attractive. Then this is the cover page. The topic has to be attractive and has to be like 5 pages, not more than 5 pages. Then the course of study, then your full name, the email. Then this is the chapter, that is introduction. The first chapter should include introduction, like the background of the story, statement of the problem, significance of the stories. So in this format, the reason why I say during the interview you should produce the proposal, even if you have already applied for the scholarship with other proposal. So during the interview, try to produce a proposal that is similar to this according to the headings, because as I said, the panelists maybe don't have deep knowledge about their subject matter. Maybe they will go directly to the main headings of your proposal. So try to produce this. Maybe share it this kind of all these samples so that some may copy it and use it during the interview. So I think this is what I can say about the interview.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I think that's really concise, and you've covered all the really important things that applicants need to know. You did mention the need to know the subject content. Of course, this is very important. You need to really understand exactly what it is that you're proposing. What are you going to do? You talked about etiquette, the way that you dress, how you're able to be composed, and also how you're able to introduce yourself. If you're given a minute to introduce yourself, then be concise and, tell them all they need to know within that 1 minute. Another very important thing you mentioned is the rationale of why you. Obviously, as we've heard, I think last year I checked, it was like 19,000 applicants or thereabout. So the really, it's highly competitive. So the selection criteria, obviously, you would imagine it will also be very, very competitive. So you need to clearly specify why should the what do you call it, the members, the board members or the examiners choose you with regards to how you compose yourself, how you're able to present your ideas, your proposals. As we've seen within the document that's just been shared, it's more or less a scoring system where each part you get a particular score. And very, very important to clearly specify that, you need to, this is the reason why you feel you are the best person to be selected for that particular interview. Of course, it's very important to go over the scoring criteria, identify exactly how you present your proposal, to identify exactly what are those different points that need to be marked in terms of the interview. I think I might have missed a few things, but I think these are the few things that I've noted. So thank you very much. Once again, if you could hold on to the end of the program, I'm sure there's going to be a number of questions from our participants today. So finally, I think our last speaker today is Dr. Habeeba Atta, and she's a senior lecturer of environmental microbiology in the Department of Microbiology at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. She's also, as with our previous speakers, a PTDF scholar, and has conducted postdoctoral research at Rutgers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, as a Fulbright visiting scholar. So, Dr. Habeeba, I think for you'll talk us through the interview and the research proposal as well, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you very much. I'll give about 15 to 20 minutes as well. Habeeba, are you here? Fauzia, is Dr. Habeeba here? Or Dr. Akubu?
Oh, she's here. She's here.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Muted, I can't. Is she using a different name? Okay, I can hear.
She's unmuted, but then we can't hear her. I think it's
Can you hear us, Dr. Habeeba?
I think Dr.
He's
Habeeba,
talking,
maybe you
but
have
then
to
we can't
remove.
hear.
Yeah, you have to remove maybe the earpiece. Try it. Just try it. Let's see. We cannot hear you.
While you're trying to sort out your, I don't know if Dr. Fauzia also a scholar. Do you have anything to add on to what has already been said?
A lot of things has changed. So, but then, like now, I think they are not considering US.
Okay.
But I don't know if they still do that. Sometimes, like I know before, US usually they give you tuition waiver, right? So what they do, if you already get your admission and you have your tuition waiver from US, since they know they're only going to be paying the stipend to you, so they also consider that. So maybe if you also have an admission in US, you can still apply. And then when you go to the interview, you tell them that you have a tuition waiver, you just need the stipend. I think they will also consider that. Then regarding the research proposal, I know in US, we don't, in the universities, usually they don't require the research proposal, but then PTDF required. So like me, I did mathematics. I know some of you hear the conversation about the proposal, they may get scared. Do not get scared, just write according to what they say, like follow the titles and write what you can. And then like me as a mathematician, I just pick a topic that I think, okay, even though it may be abstract, but I know it's going to have like an application. I tried my best to explain to them, okay, this is how it can be applied in the oil and gas sector. So, but my question is, I have never heard of somebody from like a business background or something apply to the PTDF, but I think even business people or other social sciences, they should have something applied to petroleum and gas. So I don't know if the speakers later during the question, they can address that, if they know anybody that is from the social sciences that has applied and got it, because I believe like they also have some application there in the oil and gas. It doesn't have to be like somebody from the engineering or something. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll, Dr. Habeeba, can you hear us? Are you able to make your presentation? It seems like she's still having issues with the mic. So I haven't picked, let me just go through. Have we picked, do we have any questions from the chat or any comments from the chat?
Dr. Habeeba, you can remove the earpiece. Maybe we'll hear you.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Okay. So my apologies about that, about the technical hitch. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you to Dr. Tariq and everyone for organizing this talk. It's very crucial. I'll start sharing my screen now. Okay. So I'll be giving a very brief talk on how to have a very successful interview and then how to build your proposal towards the PTDF scholarship interview. So my name is Dr. Habeeba Atta. I work at Ahmadu Bello Department of Microbiology. My specific area of research is environmental microbiology with particular interest in petroleum microbiology. Hence, the reason why I was able to get it.
I think we might have lost you there.
No, she's there. It's just that she was muted.
Sure. But the slide's gone as well.
Okay. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I was talking about my research during my PTDF scholarship. So I, in 2010, but couldn't start till 2013, and I was hosted in Cardiff University in Wales.
Sorry to cut you off. Would you be able to just stop the share and share it again? Because I think it's blank.
Okay. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
It hasn't come up yet, but it's showing that you've started sharing the screen, but it hasn't come. Or is it just mine? Dr. Fuji, are you able to see her screen?
No.
So it's maybe probably
you can share.
Or maybe,
okay.
Yes, maybe another option could be maybe if you could switch off your video, or if you could share the slides, and then we can share that.
Share it.
Whether maybe through, I don't know if you have your host email, Dr. Who's email, or.
Okay, no, I don't have any of your emails.
Right. Okay. Right. Or if you talk us through that, and then probably we can then share that with the participant.
Okay, let me talk you through and then share the slides later. Maybe if you can drop an email in the chat box,
yes,
and I can email.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just go through the slides. I'll be talking first of all about the interview. So the first thing is the way you appear for the interview. It's very important that the candidate appears formally. So no form of casual wear should be worn, because that's the first way you're projecting yourself to the panelists. So you are going for a formal interview, and hence you are supposed to be dressed formally. So you want to look polite in the way you dress. If you are going to wear a suit, make sure it's complete. Make sure you don't look like you are going for a formal outing. And then you have to be audible and coherent. And you have to project a certain level of confidence when you are facing the panelists. Also, your manner of speaking has to be polite. I have experienced cases where candidates were almost getting to the point of being rude to those of us in the panel, and then we'll have to stop the interview and call the person to order. And other than the panelists being at the site of the interview, you also have PTDF officials that are monitoring the conduct of the interview. You also have people from people from agencies that have to do with character, human rights, and what have you. So you want to make sure that you are very polite in your manner of speaking, and then so that you are not offensive to anybody. And then another thing you have to be sure of, you have to have a very good grasp of your proposal. So before appearing on the day of the interview, make sure that you have gone through your proposal several times. It also stands to good reason that you bring a proposal that about something you have worked on before, something you already have an experience in. So when you come for your interview, other than the ones you have already submitted at the portal, it's always advisable to come along with hard copies, because we have had instances of people having issues with what they have uploaded on the portal and what they actually bring to the interview. So before the date of the interview, the panelists already have a copy of your proposal. And there are times when people have issues with internet when uploading their proposals. And then what we find on the portal is a very little percentage of what they have actually sent. So it's always advisable to come with a few hard copies of your proposal. But most importantly, know what you are trying to conduct research in. And then coming for the interview, you also have to arrange your original credentials appropriately. I'm stating this because there are people, when they come in for the interview, we ask for the original credentials and they are all over the place looking for this paper and that paper and trying to make calls. So ensure that before you come into the interview hall, you have arranged your original credentials, not your photocopy, your original, because we have to verify what you have uploaded on the portal. And if it's not an original credential, it will not be accepted. So usually before it's your turn for the interview, somebody will come out and read out the names in the order in which you would appear. So you already know what position you are on the queue. So that will give you enough time to put your papers together. So when I say original credentials, your first degree, WAEC is also very important. Your first degree, second degree, if you are going for a PhD, your master's degree is also important. And then if you have copies of your academic transcripts, those will also be very, very important. And those people that are applying for a master's degree. So your proposal and statement of purpose, you should also come along with those ones in hard copy. Now, during the interview, there are certain questions that may not be directly asking you about.
Yes. I sent you the email, so if you could send me the slides, I will share it for you.
Okay. So can I pause for a few seconds and...
yeah, it's okay. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my network today. Okay. So I'm on the fourth slide now.
Okay.
Stop at the fourth slide.
Okay, Dr. Yakub, can you...
Yeah, number 4, right? Number 4, slide number 4.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, this one.
Yes. Okay. So I'll just continue from where I stopped. So I was saying during the course of the interview, there are certain questions. There are certain questions that would warrant you talking about your personal interests. So it's very important to sell yourself. I always tell candidates, how are you better than candidate A? What makes you different from candidate C? You have to prove yourself. You have to tell me why you deserve this scholarship and not the other person. So in cases where you have some relevant soft skills, if you are someone that has volunteered in some activities, maybe if you're a geologist, you're active in your student geology association, or you have gone on field trips, or you are a member of many youth clubs or NGOs that are actively involved in those kind of activities relating to your proposal, please bring it to the table. If you have very good writing skills, and depending on what field you are, if you are someone that knows how to code, everybody loves someone that knows how to code, right? Because you can use coding in so many fields. I think there's practically, there isn't any field that you cannot use coding. So if you have all those kind of soft skills, please bring them to the table. Because you find that most of the applicants, most of them have a 2-1 or a first class. So what makes you different from that other guy that has the same first class as you? It's your soft skills. So you have to bring all these things to the table. If you have related hobbies that are related to your proposal, please bring them up. If you know how to use a microscope, you know how to handle materials in the field, depending on what academic discipline you are. So all these things are very, very important. It's not just about your paper qualifications. There are times when, as a member of a panel, because someone is able to tell us how they are vested in that field and how much they love that field, it has made us to actually recommend such people. So please, if you have other skills or interests that you feel will build your case for the scholarship, please bring them up. And if you're a member of a professional society, it is not a guarantee that once you're a member of a professional society, it's going to give you extra points. And then coming to that point, I would like to say that PTDF over the years, they have changed certain things. A few years ago, I'm aware that if you have occupied any kind of position before, it gives you extra points. If you bring your journals during the interview, it gives you extra points. If you're a member of any professional society, it gives you extra points. But last year, all those things were not counted. So they always try to flip the script so that you always don't know what to expect of you that particular year. So while all these things are very good, it doesn't mean that if you don't have them, you will not stand a good chance, because there are times when these criteria tend to change as the years go by. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay. So the proposed research now, the first thing is adherence to the guidelines. So the guidelines are always available on the PTDF portal. So it depends. It could be number of words or pages. You have to make sure you stick to those number of words or pages. And the proposal has to be well-structured. When I say well-structured, I mean it must have a brief background to the study and tell us the kind of methods you want to use. Not too much detail, but just a summary, telling us specifically what you're hoping to achieve. And before your methodology, you should also have your objectives clearly lined out. And then your referencing style has to be consistent. I'm not sure if there's a particular referencing style for PTDF, but whatever referencing style you are using, it has to be consistent. You cannot start with APA, and then at the end of the day, we'll find Vancouver. So you have to be consistent with your referencing style, and you have to make sure you stick to the particular format of that referencing style. Your proposal is like the heart of your research. So you want to make sure as much as possible, you do a very good job. At the end of writing your proposal, you can give it to an expert or maybe a supervisor, just someone else in your field to have a look at your proposal. Your proposal should be detailed, but at the same time, it should be concise. So you should try as much as possible not to use jargon or unnecessary details. And whatever you are putting into your proposal should be something that can be easily understood by people that are not even in your field. Even though during the interview, you find that you are sent to panelists that are specific in your field, there are times when you might have 4 people in that panel, and one person may not be in your field, but that person still gets to grade you. So it's very important that you bring up or you describe your proposal in a language that anybody can understand. Your objectives have to be very specific, and they must be linked to the title of your proposal. So your objectives should be objectives that are measurable and will lead to a sequential follow-up with your methodology. And then your proposal, most preferably, should be related to the petroleum industry, because we had had cases of many applicants bringing up so many proposals which are not related at all to the petroleum industry. It only makes sense if you are asking for funding from the petroleum industry, you're asking for funding from PTDF. Definitely they would want to fund something that's relating directly to their field. So as much as possible, your proposal should be related to the petroleum industry. I like the fact that she mentioned something about people in other fields applying for the PTDF, like those in business administration and economics and what have you. And interestingly, we actually had some very good proposals from those fields, and they were able to link it to the petroleum industry. So it's not strictly for people in science or engineering or what have you. So if you are bringing up a proposal in the field of social sciences, administration, just make sure it is linked to the petroleum industry. So that means your outcome should be something that is going to benefit the Nigerian petroleum industry. Next slide, please. So during the interview, it's very important that you demonstrate that you have a little experience in your area of research. Now, the ways by which you can demonstrate this, if you mention you have publications, and if you have those publications with you, by all means, present those publications, because it sells you better. That means you already know what you are doing, you know where you are going. So anybody who wants to provide funding for you, it's just like presenting a business proposal. And your funders already know that you have worked in this kind of business before. They'll be willing to invest in you. So if you have publications in that area of research, please bring them to the table. If you've had research collaborations that maybe they have not led to a publication, but they have shown that you have a little expertise or experience in that area, please bring them forward. If you also have conference papers, or you have attended such conferences, or you have had internships, maybe during your ITF, or maybe during your youth service, you have participated or worked in that area of study, please make sure you mention them, or you provide physical evidence showing this extra ability. Now, your research has to be very feasible. It has to be something that is achievable. As much as possible, even if you feel that, okay, because you are going overseas, you have access to funding and facilities, the truth is that anybody that goes through research that doesn't look as if it's feasible at all, maybe in terms of the kind of methods that will be used, or maybe the number of samples, or what have you, as much as possible, you want to make sure your research is something relatable, and that is something that can be achieved within the time of your research. And avoid plagiarism, because we have had cases of people who have collected research proposals from earlier applicants, people that have applied in other years and have been successful. And then those people might try to use those same proposals. Please avoid plagiarism. If you copy someone else's work, it leads to automatic cancelling of your research. And then when you are trying to bring up a proposal, although other speakers have mentioned it, I'll mention it again, very, very important. Try to make sure your research is original. If you are getting information from any source, please cite those sources and acknowledge those sources. Next slide. And so because it's an overseas scholarship, there has to be justification for your overseas travel. So you have to make the board understand why you need to conduct this research outside Nigeria. Is it the case of not having those facilities available in Nigeria? Or is it that the facilities are available, but they are very few and competitive? Or maybe that technology has not even been used in Nigeria. When I did my own, when I went for my own scholarship, the method I used, the technology I used, was not being used here in Nigeria. And that was in 2013, that was 10 years ago. And I still haven't found evidence of any other university in Nigeria using that technology. So it made sense for me to go out of Nigeria to use that technology. So there has to be sufficient justification for overseas travel. You have to make sure your proposal, your method, and whatever it is you put in your proposal is enough reason for you to get overseas funding. And then contribution to knowledge. How much are you contributing to knowledge? Are you recycling the same old information, or are you bringing something new to the table? So as much as possible, it's always good to try to fill knowledge gaps from related research to your proposal. Try to fill those gaps, and that way you are contributing significantly to knowledge. And then your proposal, what is its impact in Nigeria? How does it affect the Nigerian people? It wouldn't make sense for a Nigerian to work on something that will benefit maybe somebody in Asia or somebody in Europe. As much as possible, we want to do things that will assist us in our own country, that will improve or better our lives. So the research proposal should be crafted in a way that it's directly linked to Nigeria, and the Nigerian people will benefit from it. And then possibly it might have a global effect. So if you want to look at things like maybe things that are related to the Sustainable Development Goals, that's a good one, or climate change, something that is of relevance globally. But first of all, it must also be something that's directly related to Nigeria. Next slide. Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I apologize for all the technical hitches. My apologies, my deepest apologies. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Habeeba, for that very interesting and insightful talk. I think it was really good that we were able to see those slides. You've covered quite a lot of interesting topics with regards to the proposal as well as the interview. I think I've started going over some, providing a summary of what you've covered when we had the glitch, where you mentioned about the need for one to be presentable as well as polite, to want to understand their proposal as well as bring hard copies for the proposal. You did mention the need to organize the credentials, to make sure they are you don't have to be there and then looking for where those documents are, whether it's your WAEC, your second degree, your transcript, your proposal, as well as your statement of purpose. The need also to clearly specify what sort of skills or what sort of expertise you have that's very much related to your proposal. And I think time and again, every time we do have this talk, that's the need, or we did mention volunteer. I mean, the need for people to be able to volunteer, that's very, very important. I always say that, as well as our speakers. And that's something that you've also mentioned. If you've participated in any volunteering service, that's something that you could also bring to the table. And also, if you've been a member of any professional membership or society, you did mention that these criteria do change. So it's not set on stone that this is definitely what's going to be used to assess you, but these are probably something that might be considered. So just remember that it's not set on stone that these are the criteria, but then this is something that you can also, always use in order to improve your candidacy. In terms of the research proposal, similar to what have been mentioned earlier, you did mention this need for the proposal to be well structured. You did mention about references. It needs to be consistent, not starting with one and then ending up with a different one. And also, it's very important to get feedback. So once you have your research proposal all drafted, it's very important that you get feedback, especially from experts in that field. That way, as we've mentioned earlier, you get to improve the quality of the proposal. And also to have clear and really easy to understand proposal. I think this is also very important because, as you've mentioned, it's not all the time that you have experts in that particular area. So sometimes you might have someone who's not an expert in that field, but as far as it's very clear and very easy to understand, then I think that would really be to your own benefit. And then, of course, for your objectives or your aim to be clear and specific, as well as sequential, I think we've mentioned this earlier as well. It's very important for it to be related to the petroleum industry. Dr. Fawzia did mention or did ask a question of whether it has to be related to or just for the engineers as well as the scientists. But you did mention now that that's not just the case. I know there's quite a number of oil and gas management professionals who did got that scholarship as well. And you've also mentioned as well as the social sciences. The most important thing really is to have that link with the petroleum industry and also to be able to demonstrate how that would be of benefit, especially to the Nigerian government. You did also talk about, I think, publications. If one has any publication, it does demonstrate your experience or any conference papers. And also the research, how feasible is it? Is it doable within the stipulated time? Is it feasible? Is it what? So, for example, now there's a lot of research, there's a lot of work on AI. How can you then relate that? This is something that's really quite a lot of work is being done in that particular area. Not doing something as UmmuSalma mentioned, something which is outdated. Say, for example, you want to do a research on phone booth or something like that, which is really outdated. So it has to be something which is, of course, feasible and something that's really needed. Of course, you mentioned about the need to avoid plagiarism, not to take, already presented proposals, as well as justification. I think I did mention this as well. It has to be justified why you are different, as you've mentioned, from participant A or C, and as well as a contribution. I think we've also mentioned that, what sort of contribution are you bringing to knowledge, as well as the impact. So thank you very much. I think that's a brief summary of what you've covered. I might have missed a few things. So really, we appreciate it. I think we'll head straight to the Q&A session, unless if we have any comment from Dr. Yakubu or Dr. Fawzia before that. Dr. Fawzia or Dr. Yakubu, do you have any comment?
I will just ask my...
Yes.
I will just ask my own question when they are answering. Then The first one is the school. I think now they mentioned, Mustapha mentioned there is Germany, China, and so on. So my question is it that you have to get admission from those schools before you apply or before the interview? So it's not clear to me because I didn't see the list of the universities. I just saw the countries. Is it that you have to get admission before you apply and then go for the interviews? And then you have to have maybe an admission letter or something? Because I remember during our time, you have to have your admission letter ready. Although my own wasn't ready, but I know that I have the admission. I went to the interview, and then later I sent the admission letter to them. So that's my first question. Is it that you have to apply first to those universities, or you just have to make sure you secure the PTDF scholarship, then later on you can see how you can get the admission? And then my second question is, I think I have forgotten. When I remember, I'll ask again.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's the question. I think Mustapha can answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Yakub, do you have any comment before we head to our Q&A session?
No, Doctor, let's just move to the Q&A because of time.
Okay, then. Okay, so Madam Mustapha, you've had Dr. Fawzia's question. What's your response to that? Madam Mustapha, are you here?
Yeah, regarding her question, regarding the admission, it's either ways. You can get the admission because as it is, once you create an account, you will have an access to see the list of approved universities within UK and the other 4 countries. So from there, you can start application for the admission. If you can secure an admission before the interview, fine and good. And if you wait till you really secure the scholarship, then you can go for the admission. It's either ways. So it's just good to be prepared, whichever. Yeah.
Okay.
And also for the question she raised earlier on regarding non-engineering or non-science applying for PTDF, still as it is, if any department of study can tie the study into those areas of research of PTDF, they will definitely grant the scholarship to you, if you can convince them that there is a relationship between that. Yes, I think that's it for now.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I can see quite a number of people want to ask questions. So I'll ask Munir Tambwal, if you can unmute yourself, Munir, and ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Munir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Right. Do you have a question to ask?
Yes, mine is not a question. It's just a contribution, please, because I've been attending the interview for I think 2 to 3 years now. So I just want to shed more light on 1 or 2 things. Just 1 minute will be okay.
Okay.
Yes, the first one is concerning the interview location. The states they mentioned that the first presenter mentioned. Last year, there was an option for virtual interview. So it's not compulsory that somebody have to travel down. Secondly, last year, publications were not considered for PhD students. They only considered membership of professional bodies. And lastly, applicants should be mindful of time, because I was very surprised when I was given 5 minutes to introduce myself and my research proposal. So people have just to be careful of that. And lastly, also, there's no awards now. They don't consider those awards that you get in school or any other. They don't consider it now as part of their grading criteria. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I think, thank you for highlighting that. Yes, that's the option. That was the option for the virtual attendance. And of course, as Dr. Habeeba mentioned, these criteria always seem to change. So it's not, as I've mentioned earlier, set on stone that this is the criteria that you would have to, that you're going to be, judged based on. So thank you very much for that contribution. Muhammad Amir Ismail. But just a quick one, probably. Do you have any idea of what sort of criteria were? Because we've seen those different criteria. I think that was from 2018, 2019. But I presume probably something must have changed those ones. Do you have any idea what that was?
Actually, okay, are you referring to me?
Yes. Or yeah, if yeah, you can answer that if you know.
Actually, I don't know what made them to change those criteria, because last year, the people that did for the first and second day, their publications were considered. But on the third day, the panelists were asked not to consider publications again. So I don't really know what. Yes.
Right, so that's fine. Yeah, my question wasn't really why, but then if what other criteria was looked at, but that's fine, no problem. I think we'll thank you very much, Muhammad Aminu Ismail.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you so much for these wonderful opportunities. Although one among the questions have been asked by Dr. Fauzia, the two questions I have here together with observation is that suppose one happened to be a scholar at undergraduate level, what are the chances of him securing this opportunity, this scholarship opportunity for MSc level? And again, secondly, with regards to those countries Mr. Mustapha earlier stated, what are those countries that have higher chances? And lastly, it seemed like the program was now focusing more on research proposal for PhD students, whereas maybe what is considered for the MSc student is more of SOP. So I don't know, maybe we request there should be more highlight on SOP. That is it. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Habeeba, what do you think about this? He did mention about chances. I don't want to make any comment on that. What do you think about that? If someone has an undergraduate scholarship, what are his chances? And is there any kind of this country has a higher chance than another?
Well, I'm not really sure. I think what a big factor would have to ride on the kind of research the person is working on. I'm aware that there are certain countries that have certain areas that they're interested in. So that may be a factor, but I'm not really sure actually. I was actually trying to respond to the other question, the one you said about what happened, what could have happened that they took away all those other criteria. So from what I learned from PTDF is that when applicants found out that they were asking for publications, some people brought publications that were not theirs. I don't know how they did it. They just found a way to doctor some documents and just put in their names, and people were coming with all kinds of certifications to show that they're members of professional societies, because they are aware that that's what they wanted. And then publications, so many publications, but when interacting with them, they didn't have anything to show that they had that expertise. So that was why PTDF, in the most recent interview that happened, they had to exclude those criteria. And then on the scoring sheets, it's the same thing as what Engineer Salim projected. It's just that those other criteria were excluded from the scoring sheets, but every other thing was still there. Your class of degree, your number of A's someone has, and all that, the class of the master's degree for PhD students, strength of the proposal, all those other things were still there. But when it had to do with publications and then professional society membership, awards, all those things were excluded.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think I'll call on Dr. Maji. He's also a scholar, a PTDF scholar. Dr. Maji Haruna, I can see you raising your hand as well. Probably you want to add on, you know, have some contribution to make as well.
Doctor, what I want to ask actually has been answered. So I think I'm okay for now because I have raised the hand that I think for a very long time ago, and it has been answered already.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just noticed that I would have called you boy earlier. Thank you, Doctor. Okay. We've got Sufyan Abubakar Jiga. Sufyan. Sufyan, are you there? If not, we move on to Abdurrahman Bala. Abdurrahman Bala, can you ask your question, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you for this opportunity. I have only two questions, but the one question Dr. Fozia has already answered it. My second question is that, what about the students that are graduating right now, like this year, are they able to apply for masters, or they should wait for the next further?
Okay, thank you. I think, Salma, do you want to answer this question? Are you there, Salma? Or what about Engineer Salim?
Is not required?
Yes.
Is NYC required?
Yes, NYC is required.
So,
yeah.
Yes, so you just graduated, which means you haven't, or someone who's just graduated. That means, sorry, say again?
I say NYC is required and also the certificate. Yeah,
so if you don't have that, definitely, you know, there's no point really, because your chances would be very, very slim, because these are requirements that are needed, and one doesn't have that, you know, those requirements.
And you also have to upload your NYC certificate before submitting the application online.
All right, thank you very much. I hope that answers your question. And then we've got a lady, Aisha Idris. Aisha Idris, do you want to ask your question? If not, I've got Obashola. Obashola, do you have a question to ask?
Yes, I do. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great opportunity to be part of this team. What a wonderful session. So my question goes thus in two forms. The first one is, I'm a beneficiary of the LSS undergraduate.
It's very difficult to understand what you're saying.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I said I'm a Herbicide, and I'm so fortunate to be part of the beneficiary of the LSS undergraduate scholarship of 2020-2021 application. So we've been sent.
It's very difficult to hear what you're saying. I don't know if Dr. Fozia, can you hear what he's saying?
No, where he is, there is background noise. Maybe you should leave where you are. Yes, background noise.
Yes. Aisha Idris, I think she's not close. Dauda Muhammad.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. My question is, how many number of pages does a PhD proposal have?
Okay, thank you. I didn't get that though. How many, what? A number of pages?
Yeah, I'm talking about the minimum number of pages for the PhD proposal.
Right. I think it says 2,000 words, right? Dr. UmmuSalma, you did cover that.
Yeah, 2,000 words and the maximum of 5 pages, because some pages, maybe in the methodology, a candidate can write sketches. So all in all, the pages should not be more than 5 pages. But for word count is 2,000 words.
All right, thank you very much. And the next question is for the, can you share the slides after the session, please?
Yes, we'll try and share the slides on Telegram. I think a link of how to join the Telegram group has been posted on the chat. So if you can just follow that.
All right,
and I'll try and get all the slides and share that later on.
All right, thank you very much. And we really
appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've got Mr. Mayweather.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this talk. My question is about research proposal. Even though I am actually applying for the master's, but I really want to understand, is it very necessary? Does it increase my chance of getting the scholarship when I have research proposal? Thank you.
Right, I think, well, okay. Right, I don't want to leave out Engineer Salim. Do you want to make a comment on that? Even though Dr. Habeeba and Dr. UmmuSalma did cover the research part, probably you might chip into that.
Pardon, what is the question, please? Repeat.
Research proposal. He's asking about research proposal. He wants to apply for a master's, but is it important for him? How important is research proposal for him?
For master's, it's not a research proposal. It's a statement of purpose. They are required. So they don't need any proposal. They need SOP, statement of purpose.
And what would that statement of purpose entail? What do they need to add on there?
Okay, first, there is some also criteria. First, they have to introduce themselves, motivational, what make them to choose the scholarship, what motivate them, their achievement in their undergraduate, then what is their plan, next plan after they graduated from the MSc. So I think these are the summary. Yeah. Maybe if I can give them some like a sample if they need it.
All right, thank you. I think once we get that, we'll try and share that on the Telegram page that way, and everyone. But the most important thing really is these are just for guidance, not a copy paste, as has been mentioned. Avoid plagiarism. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salisu Mukhtar. Dr. Salisu Mukhtar, I think. Dr. Salis Mukhtar, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? Alaikum salam.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Alaikum salam. Yes, we can hear you.
Assalamualaikum.
Right. Aminu alaikum salam. We can hear you, Dr. Salisu.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's a wonderful presentation, and we appreciate all the presenters. Now, I'm a medical doctor that is interested in applying for MSc, this scholarship. Now, as my other colleague said, you didn't talk much about the statement of purpose for MSc. The focus has been mainly on the PhD. However, with the few explanation by Engineer Salim, we've gotten something. Now, my question is, part of the aspect I want to further my career on is not directly related to oil and gas. However, someone was telling me that the main emphasis is first to secure the scholarship. Yes, you can secure the scholarship with, let's say, a particular field. For us in the medical field, it's usually the public health that may be related to oil and gas. And then after securing the scholarship, then you can now change it if the university can agree to change it for you to the field you have interest. So is that possible from your experience?
Right.
I don't know
Thank
if you understand the question.
Yes, clearly, I do understand this question, and I'm sure our presenters do understand this question as well. So I'll leave it open. Who wants to answer this question? Thank you.
Well, actually, straightforward, one cannot say that this is possible or this is not. Actually, I'll put that based on luck, because, like, for example, I can give an example of myself. Actually, I wrote a proposal on phytoremediation, that's using bacteria to remediate contaminated soil that has been contaminated with crude oil. And I was able to secure an admission at the University of Newcastle using that. And that was what I used for my PTDF application. But along the way, I was advised to contact my master's supervisor, because normally if you have a good supervisor during your master's, it is good if you can go on to do your PhD with that supervisor, because he'll be more flexible and more considerate of you, and you've already known him. So when I contacted my supervisor, the one I did master's with, she told me point blank that she's not, even though her work is based on that particular bacteria, but she is not interested in the oil part of the bacteria. What she needs more is the clinical aspect of the bacteria. So after securing my scholarship, I had to change my admission. That is, swap my Newcastle admission with that of University of Liverpool. So I can't come point blank and tell you that, yes, it's possible. And I can't say, no, it's not possible. For me, it's possible for me, but it might not be possible for others. So you have to just put the two ways.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know if Dr. Habeeba have any comments to add on to that.
Yes, I'll just add a little something to that. Even though we encourage applicants to do something related to the petroleum and gas industry, there are still cases where some proposals or statement of purpose are very important and very vital. They may not be so linked to the petroleum and gas industry, but they are very important when you are talking about the general and community. So yes, it is possible to change it. But I don't want us to go in with that mindset that we can just use something to get the scholarship and then decide to swap, just in case it is not possible. Like I said, every year.
I think we've lost you there. But I think it's
not try to look at something. Why not try to look at something that is directly linked to the communities, the health, public health of the communities in the oil and gas sector. I wish him all the best.
Thank you very much. I think we've got a few ladies today, which is very good, unlike other sessions. So I might skip a few people to call on Fatima Aliyu. Fatima Aliyu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for organizing this session, and may Allah bless you all. Ameen. So my question is about the interview. I don't know if I'm running ahead of my shadow. Like, okay, after the application, how long does it take before you're summoned for the interview? Like, is it after a month or two? Just in case you want to prepare well before going. So I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Madam Mustapha, do you want to answer that? Or anyone really? How long does it take from the application to the interview? I think that varies really.
I'll just try to be as prepared as possible, actually, because I don't think there is exact time frame for that. From my understanding, it could be within 2 to 3 months usually, but try to be as prepared as early as possible, I think. Just get ready and as soon as you submit the application, start to prepare for your interview. That's it.
Thank you very much. I think I've seen another lady. How was she too?
During my time, I think we did the interview around June, July. So it's like they said, it varies, and of course, very long time when I did my own. So it was around June, I think.
Yeah, and that time actually applications closed in December or in November a year before, and
so yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 8 months gap.
We are in March. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much for those inputs. How was she too?
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank the organizers for this wonderful mentorship section. My question is on the O-level results. So I don't know, is it preferable to use your WAEC, or you can use combined WAEC, NECO, and NAPTEP results? Thank you.
Very much. Right. So, who want to answer this?
Let me take this question.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fine to use either of the two, and yes, it's allowed to use a combination. Just make sure that whatever you upload in the portal at the point of application is what you bring along with you. That's the original now. When you're coming for the interview, just make sure you don't bring something that you didn't upload and vice versa. So yeah, it's allowed to have more than one sitting of exam. So you can upload 2. I think the maximum is 2. I can't remember now. I think it's 2. So you can have 2 submitted and then come along with the original of those 2. And if you don't have, because some applicants came without the hard copy, but they were able to get access to that portal and then show us the soft copy of the result, which we validated with what we had on the portal.
Thank you very much. Sorry, guys, I've been a bit biased towards the ladies because we've been really encouraging the ladies to join the sessions, and I think we have a good turnout today. We've got, yes.
I think I can add on that what Dr. Habeeba said.
Okay.
You can use 2 results, WAEC and NECO.
Yes.
Even me, I used 2, WAEC and NECO, different years. I just printed them. I uploaded them on the site during the application, and I went with to the interview with the hard copies, and they accepted it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I was calling on was it Rashida? Rashida Kana, is it Kana?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello. Can you?
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you for this wonderful section. May Allah reward you. May Allah reward you abundantly.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Do you have a question to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. So I was opportune to attend the last year interviewed, and I was there and I saw some candidates having a passport. So I don't know if that passport is also being used as a criteria for someone to like really get the awards.
Sorry, I was muted. This question is about passport. Is passport required?
Yes, that's what she's asking.
Alaikum salam. Yeah, so I'm just asking any of the presenters, anyone who wants to answer that question.
Let me answer this question quickly.
Okay.
For Rashida, I think it depends really. You know, the scholarship are of two types, which I've mentioned earlier in the discussion. There is the local and there is the overseas. It depends on where you are going for. If you are going for the overseas, you need to have a passport before time. You can apply without a passport, but definitely if you are living the boundaries of Nigeria, you know definitely you need a passport. So that's it. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Right, okay. Do we have more ladies, or should we go back to the guys? I can see Aisha Laden, have you asked your question already or not?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon. I think we've lost you there. We can't hear you.
So my question is for, okay, can you hear me now? About securing a position and applying for the courses at the universities. What, I don't know, advice could you give us just so we have a better chance at getting the courses that we actually want? And I think one of you, I don't know exactly who, said we should apply to more than one or like as many courses as we can. So I just need a bit of advice on how best we can approach that. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think you did mention to apply to a number of universities, right?
Yes, Doctor. What I said, Aisha, was, you know, because on the portal, when you create an account, you have a section where you need to fill in your universities you intend to study in and the courses. So that field are just 3 in number on the portal. So what I'm saying here is, but you have, if you are going for the overseas, you have a list of 72 universities which have a strategic partnership with PTDF. So if you are applying, you can fill in those 3 you've chosen, but don't limit yourself within those 3. Go out of it. Look into those, let me say, depending, if you're going to the UK, look into the other 18. If you've taken 3 out of 18, you have 15 left, yeah? So look into the other 15, try to apply. If you have your course into these other universities, apply to them. So wherever you get the admission, it will be an upper hand for you. So maybe for the first 3 you applied, you couldn't secure an admission, but those outside which you applied for, you were able to secure an admission. So it's an advantage for you. That's what I basically mean here.
Yes, but I think she did ask a question of how, you know, any tips of how to improve the success rate for getting admissions to the universities. I think for masters, really, I don't know of other universities or other countries, but for the UK, I think for masters, Dr. Majid, correct me if I'm wrong, mostly it's the transcript, your undergraduate, you know, results really. It's not, I think it's not as complicated as it is with other countries. For PhD, that's why you need the proposal. You need to speak with the supervisor. You need to have an interview with the supervisor before you get the. So for PhD, it's a little bit more complicated as compared to for masters. But for masters, really, some countries you'd have to pay. For the UK, you don't have to pay anything. You just apply. Go onto the website, identify a course that you're interested in, put in all your details, put in a personal statement, which is a SOP, and usually you should get your admission depending on the time of the year when you apply, within roughly around about 2 weeks. And sometimes a lot of these universities also do go to Nigeria. I remember back in 2010 or 2011, I was at, was it Royal Tropicana Hotel in Kano? And there are a number of universities that had fairs there. You can just literally go there with your documents, you have a look at it, and you get an admission within 2 days. I think hopefully that answers your question. Nuruddin Olalere.
Dr. Tariq.
Sorry,
Yes.
Dr. Tariq.
Yes.
Okay, I was just going to add that another way of improving the chances of getting admitted is having a really good statement of purpose. So that speaks a lot about someone. So as much as possible, you want to learn how to write a very good statement of purpose. So that improves your chances. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Nuruddin, are you able to ask your question now?
Dr. Tariq, because of their number, I have asked them to send their
Hello.
question in the chat.
Okay.
I think maybe the panelists can
Hello,
look at those questions.
everyone.
They can look at those questions and maybe select the ones that require urgent attention, and then at least to attend to some. We cannot attend to them all, but
I think the plan is to finish in about 9 minutes, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's good. It's really good what you've done there. You know, for you know, if anyone has any question, to put it in the chat, and you know, hopefully that would be able to address more of the questions. Okay.
Hello.
So thank you. Yes. Yes, please go ahead, Nuruddin.
Yeah. Good afternoon, and thanks for this opportunity. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, please. Is there any issue as in relating to the number of people that must come from each state, as in the final selection? Does a PTDF actually consider maybe, okay, we are giving 5 from Lagos State, 5 from Kano State, or is it just any number of people, as many that applied, or do they really have number of people that are given per state across the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT? My second question is, can someone benefit twice, as in someone that has benefited for masters, and then can that person still have that opportunity for PhD? And my third question, please, is do I have to print out all my publications, bring the hard copies of all the journals I've published when coming for the interview? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think, again, I'll leave it open. Probably, I don't know if Dr. Habeeba have any thing to add with regards to that selection of, you know, states, or anyone really, if anyone has any comments to make or with regards to those questions.
When it has to do with the state selection, so for the panelists, we really have a certain, we can only recommend to a certain level. So based mostly on what the candidates can bring to the table, your qualifications, how well you know the subject, and what have you. When it comes down to states, so that's onus is on PTDF. So we don't get involved with that. But I'm aware that they try as much as possible to have a very good spread of selected applicants at the end of the day across the country, so that you don't have a lopsided shortlisted final outcome. So I think, to the best of my knowledge, they actually try to make sure they cover all the geographical zones of the country. And then for the other question you asked, sorry, what was the second question again?
Whether he needs to print out all these publications. Okay.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you can actually benefit twice. I have a colleague who got the overseas scholarship for her master's, and then she got for her PhD, and both overseas scholarships sponsored by PTDF. And then for your publications, if you have so many, you could decide to just pick a few. Maybe you can pick the most relevant ones that are related to your topic, or you could say the most recent ones. But if it doesn't really cost you much, if you can decide to bring everything, but really just a few is okay, just to show that you have previous experience and exposure to the topic.
Let me just quickly add
Yes.
to Dr. Habeeba's last contribution regarding the publications. I think for that, the maximum they consider is if you just get five to the panel, that's enough. So because they don't have all the time to look at all your publications, so 5, as she said, maybe most recent, or what you might also look what is more tally to what you are submitting to the panel. So it depends on you, but a maximum of 5. Thank you.
Please, Mustapha, can you answer this question regarding exam? I thought before for MSc, they do exam before interview. Is it like an aptitude test or something?
Yeah.
Or am I getting it wrong?
That was then, but for now, there is no exams actually. They just open the portal, you fill
okay,
in
just
the
interview.
Yeah, so they call for interview.
Okay.
And you sit with the panel.
Thank
so the panel will make the judgment. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll ask maybe 2 more questions and then we'll officially end it. However, if you have any question that you can hold on, probably we'll get that. Yes.
I had one question from someone who was asking about like he needs more light on how to draft the SOP and all those things. I think it's good to draw their attention like to our past sessions where we explain those things in detail. So I advise that they should watch those sessions, especially the one we did on the general scholarship tips. All those things, they apply to the PTDF, how to write the CV, the SOP, and all those things. So I think it's good if they can refer back to our YouTube channel and watch those sessions, at least to learn the detail of the SOP and the CV stuff. Then they can add to what they learned today.
I think that's right. We did have a detailed session in Hausa, and then we've got other previous sessions, detailed sessions in English as well. So you can always, can you paste? Okay, someone, can you paste that chart? I mean that link, so that people can have access to that, please.
Yes, I just I think pasted this link to the AYMP YouTube channel. So when they go there, they will find everything. All the sessions are there. So I'll post it
and
again.
then we've also, and then the Telegram as well. So for the sample documents.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I can see there's quite a number of questions coming into the chat. But as I've said, I think I'll just ask 2 more questions and then we'll officially close. And then probably if our presenters have time, they could hang on to answer more questions.